Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of the TV Tray Sessions here at Guitar Talk with Todd at toddbeebemusic. Wanted to come on here real quick and send out a salute and remembrance to the late great Johnny Cash, the man in black. So grab your coffee, let's send a salute up to Johnny. We sure do miss the man in black. We lost him on this day, September 12th in 2003. 20 years ago. This is being recorded on September 12th, 2023. I cannot believe it has been 20 years. I remember that day very well. I had numerous phone calls come in that day from people just saying, man, I know you love Johnny, which I did and still do. And I got a lot of calls that day. We sure do miss the man in black. I was lucky enough to see him several times while he was with us on this planet. Johnny Cash was one of those artists that I've heard a few people say this. He kind of got a lot of people into country music that might not otherwise have. I know a lot of my friends, the first music I ever heard in my life was that music, traditional country music. My grandfather and my uncles played it. And that's, the first thing I was ever exposed to. So I've always loved that music. But I know several people have told me that were more into rock and all that stuff. They just didn't. Country come on and it's like, oh, geez. But then like Cash was different. And of course, you had the great live albums, live at Folsom Prison, live at San Quentin. And, those had some pretty racy moments on there, especially for the time. I remember being a kid and hearing those. It was like, hey, he's like swearing on this record. So I have a lot of friends that heard that and they were like, man, this is cool. I dig that. It was different than traditional. Cash had a dark edge to him, and hence the man in black. And I think that's what made him very appealing to a lot of people. He was a little bit edgier. But the thing I guess I have a problem with, maybe, that like when he's portrayed in movies and books and whatnot, is that that's the only thing they ever portray and run with. And, Cash during his lifetime put out a few different books. One was, of course, entitled The Man in Black, but he also put out one titled The Man in White. Johnny was a very religious person, and he had that whole other side to him, and you never hear about that as much as the dark, edgier side, which of course, draws more people in and ultimately sells more tickets at the movie theater and whatnot. I get it, but let's not forget that Johnny did have that other side to him too, the man in black and the man in white. Special thanks and salute here to Rick Rubin on this day as well, because as most of you know, Johnny was dropped from his Columbia Records label there in the 80s, and it was just a bad thing. They just thought he was old hat and didn't want anything to do with him anymore, and Rick Rubin came along 1994 and released the American Recordings Volume 1, which is fantastic, which is just like Cash and a acoustic guitar singing, and ended up doing 2, 3, 4, several volumes of those American recordings. And Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and several other people helped out on those, Marty Stewart. So just great stuff. Those are some of his best recordings, in my opinion, were those later ones right up towards the end of his life with, like American 4, The Man Comes Around, where he redid the, Hurt, the 9 Inch Nails too. And I remember hearing Trent Reznor talking about that he was in a hotel the first time he saw the video for Hurt of Johnny Cash and realizing what Cash had done with his song. And he turned to a friend that was in there with him and was like, that's his song now, which is interesting when an artist does that. I know Bob Dylan said the same thing about All Along the Watchtower with Jimi Hendrix. He said that's his song now. So it's always amazing when that happens. I think more people around the world know, the Hurt Johnny Cash version that just really took off for him, and I'm so glad it did. He just made it his own. But an artist like that, he just has that golden touch. Johnny never lost that golden touch and, shame on his record label because you see he had gotten up in age and, the general public wasn't buying his stuff anymore. And that's the sad side of the record business. Of course, it's a business and it's all about selling, and the minute you don't sell, you're kicked to the curb. And what a shame that somebody with a golden touch like Johnny Cash had to go through that. But once again, salute to Rick Rubin, who brought him back and showed him that he still had the power of music there right up to the end of his life. So we thank Rick for that. We thank Johnny for all the years of great music. Please comment, you guys. You have a great Johnny Cash story. Did you see him live? What's your favorite song, favorite album? Go ahead and please comment. Please hit that subscribe button too while you're at it. I appreciate it. And we sure do miss Johnny on this day, September 12th, 2023, 20 years. We've been missing the man in black. We love you, Johnny, and we thank you for the music. We sure do miss you down here. So thank you all for checking in and doing a salute with me here to the man in black. Find me on Facebook at toddbeebemusic, and we will see you again. Stay safe and love your dogs. Take care.